potentially that's made a big difference on the QOM.
I think for people who have maybe been in the sport for a very long time, you're very familiar with the whole watts per kg concept and when that is most important and most appropriate, climbing, flat courses, lumpy courses, etc. But based on the conversation I had in our bunch ride this morning, and we've got the men A on the right of screen there, so nice drone shot, nice, delightfully foggy, mucky Yorkshire weather there. So well done to the Zwift team for making that authentic. Is that there is still quite a general and vague misunderstanding of the relationship to watts per kg course, etc. And so there are quite a lot of riders who just focus a lot on the watts per kg and don't really dive into the relevance of that. We've got a few little tech issues happening here, but we'll get that back up and going as soon as we can. There's a whole lot of inputs that go into live streaming with all this data and stuff, as we can imagine. So, yeah, Anna, I think, one of the conversations that we had on our ride this morning, our ride guide is 1.3 to 1.8 watts per kg. And some of the ladies, we often have a bunch that goes a bit further in front, and they ride at about 2.5 watts per kg. Now, some of the ladies were like, oh, we can't do that, we can't hold that. But it was a completely flat ride. And so before they had even considered what that meant in the context of themselves, they were already kind of talking themselves out of being able to even stay with the main group, let alone that front group. Now, that was just a community ride. I understand that. But I do think that in these community leagues, we do have a lot of people that are not only new to racing, but are quite new to the sport of cycling. So they don't intrinsically understand all of these concepts that underpin all of this data that gets thrown at you. And I think when you jump on your bike and go and race around a crit track and you don't have a lot of info, it's really simple. Can you keep going? Can you not? Can you keep up or not? But when you start getting all of this data thrown at you, it's almost an overload in some ways, I think. And sometimes you've got to dial it back down and just go out and race.
Yeah, I think I mean there are some races where I just even put sticky tape up over my power data because who cares? Who cares what power you're riding? You're either with the
Yeah,
front group
yeah,
or you're not.
yeah,
Like there's no
yeah.
point sort of it's all good in training, but yeah, when you come to a race day like this, you just can't look at your numbers so much, which is really hard sometimes because they're all up there in front of you, but maybe tape over them. And just go by feel, race with you know, a bit of guts and a bit of determination and just forget about all the numbers, which is easier said than done. But I think you're right. There's so much you can see up on your dashboard that sometimes you just need to tune it all out.
Yeah, and I think Mark Cavendish is the most famous one who used to put black tape across the top of his SRM because he just didn't want to see it. I mean, he knew what he could do when he was having a good day or not, and that was what mattered. How wonderful our tech team! Thank you, fellas. We've got these pictures back. They're absolute geniuses, Anna. So it's great to have these pictures back now. We're looking at the men here. The men's A Morgan from Evo. We've had a pretty tight scenario going on over in this category here. Beast Mode and Deepak are the two big ones. Oh, and Anna, I have to mention as well that your fella Sam Lindsay, your New Zealand rider,
Oh,
I saw last week he threw out on social media that if he wins, he'd like you to give a rendition of the anthem. So have you warmed up the vocal cords just in case?
so we've actually come to a little agreement. I said if he wins, I'll do the haka.